The last blue mile. I always thought the sea would give a man some kind of warning. A smell, a change in the wind, a certain weight to the air that says, get ready. But the night the Meridian Star went under, there was nothing. Just calm water and the hum of engines beneath my boots. It was my fourth month on the run between Manila and Guam. I'd stopped noticing the sway of the deck. The ship felt more like home than any apartment I'd ever rented. The air smelled of diesel and salt and the faint sweetness of onions from the galley. Alvarez was still singing down there, off key as always, and I could hear the clatter of pans through the vent. We were a tired crew, but we were steady. I had the midnight watch. Coffee cooling on the rail, one boot unlaced, radio hissing soft static. The stars looked close enough to pick with a knife. Then, without warning, the lights blinked. Once. Twice. The sound that followed wasn't thunder, it was metal tearing, deep, alive, wrong. The deck jumped beneath me, alarms howled. Someone yelled my name from below, but the wind tore it apart. I ran toward the engine hatch, slipped on oil, felt the heat bloom through the grating. The smell of burning fuel hit like a slap. "Fuel line!" someone screamed. Too late. The night erupted. Orange glare, choking smoke. I saw the port crane silhouette against the fire before the power died, and the whole ship tilted as if the sea had grabbed it by the throat. I barely got my arms around a ladder before the deck went sideways. Tools slid, barrels rolled. A man tumbled past me into black water. The roar swallowed every voice. Then cold, pressure, salt. Something wrapped my leg, a cable, tight as wire. I twisted until muscle tore, and the pain snapped me awake. When I broke the surface, the Meridian Star was half gone, her stern pointing at the moon. The rest was flame and steam. I remember shouting until my throat filled with smoke. No one answered. The ship gave one last metallic groan and folded into the dark. The sound went on forever, a dying animal breathing out. I found a chunk of hatch cover and climbed onto it, coughing salt and diesel. The air burned. I paddled until the heat faded, until there was only night and the slow hiss of cooling metal sinking somewhere beneath me. When the sun came, it came without mercy. The sea turned to glass, blinding white. No ships, no wreckage big enough to matter, just drift. I tore my shirt in half, draped the pieces over my shoulders, and tried not to think about water. By afternoon, my lips had split. Every breath tasted of rust. I counted waves to keep from counting bodies. A gull showed up, white, perfect, careless. It circled me twice and screamed, a sound that went straight through my skull. I waved at it like an idiot and told it to go away. It didn't. It followed me until dusk. That first night was worse than any storm. The quiet was a weight. I tied my belt around the hatch so I wouldn't roll off if I slept. The stars watched without blinking. I tried to pray, but all I could remember were half-forgotten phrases from my mother. Dios te guard. May God keep you. Sleep came in shards. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard metal tearing again. Morning blurred in through haze. The gull was gone. My hands were swollen, skin raw where rope had rubbed. I paddled with a broken plank, slow strokes, trying to keep my muscles from freezing. The sea stretched in every direction like a mirror that refused to crack. By midday, I started talking to the ocean, not asking for rescue, just bargaining. Give me a current, a breeze, anything. It gave me heat instead. Then, late afternoon, a shape appeared on the horizon, faint green, low and steady. I blinked until tears stung. Land. I started paddling one stroke at a time. The sun slid down and the island didn't get closer. My arms shook. I kept going. By nightfall, it vanished into dark. I cursed until my voice broke, then lay still, letting the current decide. The next thing I knew, dawn light was pink on the water and the smell had changed. Brackish, earthy, the hiss of surf somewhere close. My heart hammered. The island was there, strip of white sand, a few palms bent like they were tired of standing. I kicked until my legs cramped, the hatch grinding over coral. When it stuck, I let go and crawled, elbows digging into sand hot enough to blister. I didn't care. The ground didn't move. I lay there for a long time, face pressed to earth, listening to my own heartbeat and the soft drag of waves behind me. When I rolled over, sky burned blue above me, too bright to look at. Coconuts scattered near the tree line. I dragged myself to one, cracked it with a rock until milk ran down my chin. It was warm and sour and better than heaven. I drank until my stomach cramped, then laughed. Ugly, broken laughter that scared the gulls into flight. The cay was tiny, maybe 200 yards long, a rim of coral, a few palms, no footprints but mine. I followed the beach once end to end. Nothing, not even wreckage beyond a few splintered planks. I built a pile of driftwood on the highest patch of sand and lit it with a match from my waterproof tin. Smoke rose thin and gray before the wind shredded it. I fed the flame anyway. Fire meant I existed. That night the stars were sharp as glass. I sat beside the embers, knees to chest, and tried to remember faces. Alvarez, the captain, the kid from Cebu who always whistled out of tune. Memory slipped away like tidewater. Rain came before dawn, just a drizzle, enough to fill the cracks of my palms. I caught what I could in the tin. It tasted like metal and life. When the sun rose again, the world felt emptier. The sea stretched clean and blue, pretending innocence. I found a dead fish near the tide line, half eaten by crabs. I cut away what was left with a jagged scrap of metal, roasted it over my small fire, and forced it down. My body wanted to reject it. I made it stay. Days, if they were days, melted together. The skin on my shoulders peeled, new pink flesh burning underneath. I talked less, listened more. The wind changed songs every afternoon. Sometimes it sounded like voices, sometimes like laughter just out of reach. One afternoon, clouds gathered in the west, tall, bruised, heavy. I thought it would pass. It didn't. When the squall hit, it hit without warning. Wind tore the palms sideways. Sand filled the air. The sea roared up the beach, swallowing my fire, ripping half my shelter away. I held the trunk of a palm and screamed back at the storm until the sound was ripped from my mouth. Salt rain cut my skin. Lightning turned the world white. Then silence again. The beach was half gone, water reaching where I'd slept. My body shook uncontrollably. I crawled back to the ridge, rebuilt the fire with trembling hands, and sat beside it until the flames steadied. The storm had left a gift. Rainwater pooled in the hollow of a crate. I drank until I couldn't breathe. Nights lengthened after that. Hunger became a dull ache behind everything. I caught small crabs, pried open shells, chewed tough meat that tasted of salt and metal. The sea gave sparingly, as if testing whether I deserved what it offered. Once, while searching the shallows, I stepped on something soft. It stung like fire, jellyfish. My legs swelled from ankle to knee. I limped for 2 days, feverish, certain infection would take me. It didn't. When the swelling went down, I thanked the ocean out loud. Time lost shape. The moon waxed and waned, and I stopped counting. Some mornings I woke certain a ship had passed in the night and missed my smoke by minutes. Other mornings I convinced myself no one was looking at all. Then came the still morning, the one that felt different from all the rest. The air was clean, almost cool. I watched small fish dart through clear shallows, silver and quick. For the first time, I didn't feel like an intruder. And that's when I saw it, a glint far out, steady, too bright to be water. At first, it looked like a trick of light. The sea does that, it makes you see what you need. I blinked until my eyes hurt, but the shape held. A flash, a cross of metal against the blue. My pulse jumped so hard it hurt my ribs. I got to my feet too fast and the world tilted. I stumbled, caught myself, then started waving my shirt above my head. The noise that came out of me wasn't quite a shout, more a raw bark. The air felt thick, soundless. The plane moved steady, straight as a drawn line. I ran into the surf, water dragging at my legs. "Here!" I yelled. "Here!" I kept yelling until the words lost meaning, until I could taste blood. The plane didn't change course. For a second it disappeared behind glare, and despair hit like a physical blow. Then it banked slightly, just a small tilt of the wings, sunlight winking off the fuselage. It could have been coincidence. It could have been everything. I threw myself deeper into the water, waving both arms, screaming until my vision swam. The plane leveled and kept going, shrinking to a silver fleck. I kept watching long after it was gone, chest heaving, water slapping against my knees. The wind shifted, cooler now, almost kind. I dropped to my knees, still staring at the horizon. It was quiet again, not the empty quiet of hopelessness, but the heavy, listening kind. I could feel my heartbeat echo through the sand beneath me. The sea was breathing around my legs, small waves curling and falling with a patient rhythm, like it was waiting for me to speak. "I'm still here," I said, the words barely more than air. My voice sounded different, rough but sure. The moment stretched. A breeze carried the smell of rain, and I realized I was grinning. Not relief exactly, not yet. Just the raw animal joy of still being alive enough to hope. I dragged myself back up the beach, collapsed near the remains of the fire pit. My body felt like it belonged to someone else. Every nerve sang. The clouds out to the east were building again, tall white towers glowing gold at their tops. I knew the pattern now. It meant another squall by nightfall. I should have rebuilt the shelter, gathered wood, done something. Instead, I lay flat, staring at the sky. The sea had gone calm again, impossibly calm, and in that stillness came memories I hadn't touched since the wreck. Alvarez singing under his breath while peeling potatoes. The captain leaning on the rail, eyes half closed, listening to the diesel thrum like it was music. The youngest crewman, Nino, holding a photo of his baby daughter, smiling like the world was simple. All of them gone under a sky just as blue as this one. A thought crept in slow and quiet. Maybe I wasn't meant to go with them because someone had to remember. That felt almost like purpose. When dusk came, I rebuilt the fire. The smoke went up straight this time, black against gold light. I watched it rise until stars began to appear. The moon climbed, thin and clean, and the island felt smaller beneath it. Sometime after midnight, the wind picked up, carrying a low hum that could have been engines far away or just the ocean playing tricks again. I told myself it was both, that rescue was moving somewhere beyond the dark, closing the distance one invisible mile at a time. Sleep crept in between blinks. The sand was cool under my back, the sound of waves steady and slow. I thought of home, not a place, but the feeling of waking to the smell of coffee, of hands steady on a mug. I thought of what it would mean to taste fresh water again. When I opened my eyes next, dawn was barely touching the horizon. The tide had crept higher, washing the edges of my footprints away. I stood and looked out over the water, the same stretch that had tried to kill me and now looked almost tender. The plane hadn't come back yet, but I knew it would. Somewhere beyond sight, there were coordinates being marked, search grids widening. People I'd never met were already deciding to look for a man named Samir Reyes, deckhand, last seen aboard the Meridian Star. The wind pressed against me, warm and gentle. The ocean shimmered, endless and bright, and for the first time in weeks I didn't feel small in front of it. I felt part of it. One more piece moving with the current, still breathing, still waiting. I whispered it again just to hear it out loud, still here. And the sea answered with a slow exhale across the sand. A sound that might have been approval, might have been indifference. It didn't matter. For now, it was enough. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day.